You are listening to episode 175 of the Peaceful Mind Podcast. Welcome to the Peaceful Mind Podcast, a place for creating the peace of mind you need to be the best mom you are created by God to be. If you want to bring more balance, more joy, and more peace to your motherhood, this is the place for you. I'm your host, certified life coach and Catholic mom, Danielle Tienel. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, let's get started. Hello, my dear listeners. Welcome back to another episode of the Peaceful Mind Podcast for busy moms. I am your host, Danielle Tienel, and today we're going to talk about a topic that I know resonates with many of us, mom guilt. The title of today's episode is Overcoming Mom Guilt, Some Strategies for Self-Forgiveness and Grace. Because many of us can relate to when this heavy emotion that we call guilt comes a-knocking on our door. We feel guilty for not doing enough, for not being present enough, for the mistakes that we make. But today I want to remind you of something very important. We're human. This is part of the human experience. We're not perfect, and that is okay. And that guilt is simply an emotion, just like overwhelm or worry, that is not only caused from our own thinking, but it's simply a feeling, a vibration in our body that doesn't have to be resisted. Now, your brain tells you, your lower brain is made in a way that tells you that this is wrong and something really bad might be happening here. And it's going to tell you to resist any kind of uncomfortableness and pain that is surely to come of this. But in fact, I'm curious to ask you right now, when you're feeling guilty, how does it show up in your body? That's right. If you can imagine yourself, imagine a time or something that when you feel guilty, how would you describe this feeling to someone who, let's say, never had felt guilty before in their entire lives, and they didn't know what you meant when you said, I feel guilty? Would you tell them that it's a hot, cold, or warm feeling? Would you tell them that it's a sharp, smooth, rough, or bumpy texture? What color is guilt for you? Is it green, black, gray? Where in your body exactly do you feel it? Do you feel guilt in your head, in your shoulders, your heart, chest area, or in the pit of your stomach? Does it swoosh, or does it feel like a buzz throughout your body? It really is a constant just vibration that's happening in your body. And for you, does it come and go, like turn off and on, or is it a constant sort of swoosh or buzz? I know that for some of you who hear this in this line of questioning that I'm asking you about the feeling of guilt are saying, well, that's strange. That's weird. It feels a little silly. But the point I am trying to drive home is threefold. First, I'm trying to show you that guilt is only an emotion, a feeling that is caused by what you're choosing to think in your mind when you think a thought about the activity or result or circumstance or situation that's happening that you right now is you believing that you feel guilty about. I'm trying to show you that there's a step in between that is actually optional, and that you are just having a line of thinking about something that you've done that's actually creating this vibration in your body. So It's the thoughts you're thinking that create the feeling of guilt, and that this vibration takes on the form for you that when you describe it, like the activity I just said, when you can then stop your line of thinking for a moment, whereas you would be thinking about what you're feeling guilty about. Hopefully that made a little sense to you. I know sometimes when I say it out loud, to me, I'm like, well, I hope that was maybe that could have been a little bit more succinct. But what I'm trying to point out to you is that your brain is telling you that the circumstance is creating the guilt. And I want you to see that it's your thoughts about the circumstance that is actually the cause of this particular vibration in your body. And then I'm also seeing how every single emotion, we're just using guilt today as an example, exudes a different vibration in your body. And so figuring out which one it is and stopping and describing it is going to take your mind off of your thinking about it. And then it's also going to show you that it's literally just a gray, buzzing pit of your stomach, sharp vibration, and you won't die from it, that it will pass, and that you don't have to let this emotion stop you from being the child of God you are, the one who isn't perfect, but still has 100% worthiness because you were created by our Creator. And no matter what you feel guilty about, that you're human and you have a human life to get back to living, instead of beating yourself up mentally and not forgiving yourself and not giving yourself grace for messing up on occasions. There isn't a single human being who gets to avoid this messing up on occasions aspect of the human life. And so this latter part is just what I really wanted to focus on today, to kind of drive home that in our faith, and in particular, I'm in my Catholic faith, we have these beautiful concepts of grace, forgiveness, and compassion, and not just for others, but also for ourselves. So let's just explore a little bit of these concepts today in the context of overcoming your mom guilt. So first, let's talk about self-forgiveness. We are often our own harshest critics, and that's especially true when it comes to parenting. But remember, every mistake is a chance to learn and grow. What I share here when it comes to failures is that we either win or we learn. So every mistake is a chance to learn and grow. And when you feel guilt creeping in, take a moment to acknowledge the feeling, like the processing exercise that I took you through at the beginning, where you name it, describe it, and remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes. Forgive yourself, because staying in guilt is helping no one. It's not helping you. And if you're not feeling good, then that overflows to our spouse, to our children, to our family. And then we keep ourselves stuck and we ruminate and we spin on what we're feeling guilty about. And it just is not helpful. It doesn't serve you in any way. So no, remind yourself, it's okay to make mistakes. And we want to get out of feeling guilt and into self-forgiveness as soon as possible. Now, in saying this, I'm reminded of a story that a mom from my group coaching program, Busy to Balance, recently let me know. You know, there's lots of activities going on in this springtime. She was feeling guilty about missing her daughter's dance performance because of work. She was heartbroken and couldn't stop blaming herself. But then she took a step back and realized that while she did miss this one event, there were countless others that she had been present for. And I'm so glad that her mind recalled this, because I do like to tell my moms, like, when we mess up, we think, we forget. We forget to think about the 1,000 times where we were awesome and on top of it and made it to all of the activities. So she was able to just speak to her daughter, apologize, promise to make it up to her. And what I love that she's a beautiful example of, that from our work together, she knew that guilt was not a helpful emotion. Like, she has learned that and ingrained that. So when she finds herself in guilt, she knows that it's caused by what she was thinking, which she has total control over. And she knows it doesn't serve moms, especially doesn't help moms to become better moms. Guilt does not help moms become better moms. And I love that, one, that she actually put herself in the position to learn these things from me, and then she's applying it in her life. And so she knows that if she were to stay in guilt, it would give her the opposite result of what she wanted. It would take over any learning opportunity, growing opportunity, a way to exemplify to her daughter. When we apologize and we ask for forgiveness, there was so much for her daughter to learn in this interaction as well. So she chose the power of self-forgiveness and told herself that moms miss recitals sometimes. Did you know that? Do you know that they do? And that's okay. All right, next, I want us to think about grace. Grace is about receiving God's love and forgiveness, even when we feel like we don't deserve it. But notice, if we feel like we don't deserve it, it's because we're choosing to think that we don't deserve it. And that is not a truth. It's just an optional way of looking at something. And grace teaches us that it's okay to be flawed, to be human. I really drive this point back as much as I can to remind you all that we're human. We're both amazing and a mess. But when you're weighed down by mom guilt, you must remember that the grace that God extends to you is there. It is there. So let it comfort you. Allow it, receive that grace. Allow it to lift you up. So finally, I want to touch on, and let's not forget about compassion, particularly self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend when you do something and you think in a way that you really feel guilty about. Because after all, I must remind you, as many times as it takes, that you are doing your best. We are all doing our best. And that is enough. I know that I use this metaphor a lot about talking to a friend, because I want you to redirect your brain when you're not being self-compassionate to yourself. I just want you to take yourself to that situation. And so when you start feeling guilty about something, imagine you're talking to a friend, a best friend. And in my personal case, I truly have to imagine that, because my best friend passed away several years ago. And so that is still the conversation I go to when I've messed up. If I feel guilty or if I'm feeling shame about something, I picture what my conversation with Jill would be like. Like, what would she say to me? Or if she came to me with what I did, what would I say to her? So just as if you're talking to a friend who's expressing these same feelings of guilt to you, what would you tell her? What would she tell you? And find that the words that you offer her or she offers you are much kinder and more understanding. And then turn those words onto yourself. And what a powerful practice of self-compassion this can be. So let's remember, dear listeners, guilt can be a signal to us. It can alert us that something in our life needs attention. It may show us something that we don't want to do anymore. Amazing. But it shouldn't be this constant companion, like this new purse that you're carrying around all the time, only it's a purse with rocks in it that's weighing you down. Guilt should not be with you all the time. But through self-forgiveness, grace, and self-compassion, you can overcome these feelings of guilt and come out stronger on the other side and get back in to taking action on your goals and living your life and enjoying this precious time that we have here on earth. So as I wrap up today, I want to leave you with this thought. You are enough. You are doing enough. And with God's grace, you are exactly the mom that your children need you to be. And if this particular emotion or any of those non-serving emotions of overwhelm, guilt, worry, confusion, doubt, if they are plaguing your life, then I would love to help you. I know exactly how to help you overcome these feelings and emotions, and I have strategies and tools and concepts that right now you may be missing, and when you apply them in your life, it transforms you and changes you for the better. And it would be my honor to be your coach. And if this is something that you feel compelled or just interested to explore, then please sign up for a free call with me, and then we can meet and we'll talk about where you are in your life right now and where you want to be, and I will help bridge that gap. And I definitely want you to have less guilt in your life, more self-forgiveness, more compassion, more love, more grace. And with that, I will tell you thank you all for being here, and I will talk to you again next week. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Peaceful Mind Podcast. Are you ready to take everything I teach you here and put it to work for your own life? To really learn how to have peace of mind no matter what is happening around you? If so, I'd love to have you as a client. As your coach, this is where you'll get personal and focused time on your own mind using life coaching tools, concepts, and proven life-transforming wisdom, all through a faith-filled lens. To learn more about how we can work together, come on over to danielleteenel.com. There, you'll see how to sign up for a free coaching consult and learn how to get started. Until next time, peace be with you always.